Hello and welcome to another edition of the Startup Show, brought to you as always by Inc. Authority. My name's Trevor Rowley. I'll be your host today. We're talking about starting new businesses, and there are so many new business owners that I've talked to over the years who say to me, gosh, I really wish that at the point where I was starting my brand new business that I had had a mentor, somebody who had been there and walked the walk and talked the talk, who could have held my hand and guided me through the process, so that I would have been less apt to make some of the mistakes that new business owners sometimes make. Well, it's really an important concept to have that mentor, that advisor, that trusted individual to guide you along your path of entrepreneurship. And one of the things that Inc. Authority does that really makes it different from other business formation companies is that it puts you together and pairs you with a seasoned business advisor who is somebody who has operated a business before and somebody who has consulted with thousands of other business owners around the country in all sorts of different industries, and is that person that you can rely on to ask your questions and receive guidance to. We're going to talk about that today, and we would like to welcome to the program to help us understand this better, James Bradshaw, who is a business advisor at Inc. Authority. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Trevor.
So you haven't always been a business advisor. At one point, you were actually that new business owner where you started a business for yourself for the first time. Tell me a little bit about that and how that went for you.
Yeah, so that was a bit of a scary process. That's one of the things I do like about this job is because you get to experience that kind of through someone else's eyes. I started an e-commerce business about 7 years ago with my wife, and even just setting up the EIN was a headache.
Yeah.
I mean, setting up the LLC, no idea what an LLC was or how to go through any of that, and trying to find attorneys and to go through all that headache, get all the paperwork done. I mean, it was, by the time it was said and done, it was an expensive process and quite the hassle.
Yeah, it can be complicated for somebody who is doing this for the first time, right?
Correct.
There's certain terminologies. You get into talking about an LLC, for example, and what's a member? What's a manager? How are they the same? How are they different? What's an operating agreement? All these different terms and things that start to come around, and it can be confusing, right? You mentioned, hey, just the process of getting an EIN was a little bit more difficult than I thought. Well, the IRS doesn't make anything simple, right? Yeah. And some of the questions they ask on the application for the EIN can be a little bit confusing, and yet they have an impact on your tax situation, so you don't want to get it wrong, right? So you probably would have found it valuable at that time to have come across Inc. Authority, for example, to have helped you then to guide you and hold you by the hand and get you through that.
Yeah, Trevor. So that's something I've expressed to my clients constantly. I wish I had a company like this back then because it was a bit confusing. And by the time it was all said and done, I still didn't even get it done correctly. That was the worst part about it.
Yeah.
After working here, I realized I had to go back and fix some of that there. But luckily, we're able to help guide people along and keep them from making those same mistakes and having to go back and fix things.
Yeah. So it's really easy. Somebody either goes online to incauthority.com and they go through the process of forming their corporation or their LLC or even their nonprofit corporation online. Or if they don't complete the process there, they would rather talk to somebody. They call in or they receive a phone call from one of our business startup specialists. And over the phone, somebody helps them get that corporation or that LLC or that nonprofit corporation set up. And then after that corporation, LLC, nonprofit is set up, pretty soon they're going to get a phone call from a business advisor like you.
Yes.
And you're part of a team of business advisors who make this reach out. Now, why should somebody take that call? What are they going to get and what are they going to expect from you when you call as their business advisor?
So we're just going to introduce ourselves to them and just kind of learn a little bit about their business, help them out with those first steps. Like I said, that's going to be difficult, and kind of help guide them along and find out what the next steps they need to take for their business are. Whether that be things like, establishing credit for their company or even getting a logo going or a trademark. Just the simple steps, to solidify everything and set the foundation for the future of their company.
Yeah. Because every new business owner, whether it's their first business or whether they've had businesses before, they typically have questions, right?
Correct.
And even if somebody felt they were pretty seasoned and maybe they applied for their EIN on their own and now they get some correspondence back from the IRS, they're like, I don't know what this means. The IRS is asking me questions now. But to have somebody they can pick up the phone and talk to and say, hey, I just got this correspondence, I don't know what this is, and somebody can say, oh, well, let me tell you what that means, right? And so that they don't make mistakes, so they feel confident in moving forward, right? Because at the end of the day, new business owners, they've got hopes, dreams, aspirations. They want to be successful in this new business. They certainly don't want it to fail. And to have somebody that they can turn to that's been there, done that, and done it with thousands of other businesses that they've talked to can help them avoid, some of those potholes that are in the road so that they can continue down that path to success. So if I went online, for example, and set up a brand new LLC, Trevor's LLC, and before long I received this beautiful package in the mail, and I've got my record book, and I've got my articles of organization, and I've got my operating agreement, and then I get a phone call, and it's James Bradshaw, and he is introducing himself as my business advisor. What can I kind of expect? How's that call going to go? What are the questions you're going to ask me? What do you want to know about me so that you can help me and guide me?
So first off, we just like to know a little bit about the foundation of their business. So what they're planning on doing, what field they're in, and then we can kind of go from there and get into more specifics, whether it's, transportation, food industry, real estate, obviously, big ones there. And then we can just answer questions, because a lot of time people, and they get it all the time, they think they have stupid questions. I like to always stress, there's no such thing as a stupid question.
Yeah.
Especially when you're starting a business. We all know how scary that can be. And if even the slightest little piece of paper, like you said, corresponds in the mail, that can really derail things. So just kind of answer general questions at first, and then get into more specifics about, needs, goals, aspirations, what it's going to take to reach these goals over, short term or long-term goals in 3 years from now. Where do you want to be? How much do you want to make? What is your plan for your company, or with your nonprofit? Where are you looking to help? What's your mission statement? We kind of cover all those bases there, and then when we get to know each other, we can kind of figure out what the next step is to take to reach that goal.
Yeah. I think that's a great process because, initially it's just about discovery, right?
Correct.
It's like, tell me more about your business and, why you wanted to start this business and what your passion is about it and where do you want this to go, and are you looking for this to be small and home-based, or are you looking to this to get bigger, and what's your time frame and what does the growth pattern look like, right? And you mentioned the industries, getting to know the industry, because there can be so much that is specific to the industry. And now you're a bright guy and a business owner yourself, and you've consulted with lots of other people that run all kinds of different businesses. But if there's something that you're not familiar with, the nice thing is you've got a whole team of other people that you can then bring in if you need to, or make contact with, so that we can get the right answers to the person on the other end of the line, right? And so you go through this discovery process and find out where does this person wants to go, and then helping them determine that course of action, that plan, right? What's the game plan? How are we going to get you there? Because it's one thing to wish that you were going to, do X, Y, and Z with your business. It's another thing to really plan to get there. And that's the advantage that an Inc. Authority customer has, is they've got somebody like you that they can communicate with, ask questions of, and receive guidance from to make sure that they can get to where they want to go.
And those first steps are often the toughest,
Yeah, they are, right? Because I remember starting my first business, and I wasn't as confident as I am about it today, right? I've been through several businesses at this point in my career, but back then I wasn't as confident, and I was very afraid of making a mistake and what that impact might be. I was hesitant to make decisions that I really needed to make, because that was how I was going to move my business forward. But sometimes I was, you talk about paralysis by analysis. I went through that a lot, right? Because I just didn't know what I didn't know. And I would have loved to have had a mentor earlier on. I was fortunate that later on I did have a mentor that could guide me and help me. And that's one of the reasons why Inc. Authority has this model that it has today, is we realize the value in that. And the people that are coming to us to get their businesses formed, we want them to be successful. We want them to have the best chance of success. Exactly. We know for a fact, and the surveys from the Small Business Administration, et cetera, will tell you that the reasons why businesses fail is either the business owner doesn't have the knowledge to move that business forward, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they went to college or something like that, but sometimes it's just business sense and knowing how businesses operate. They didn't have the knowledge to succeed. Or the second thing is they didn't have the capital, the funds available to them to take advantage of opportunity when it came. They didn't know how to use other people's money and leverage that so that they could build their business. And those are specifically some of the things that you address with some of your customers.
Correct. Yeah. So we help them, find the resources available. We have tons of resources that we help clients with, getting them in contact with or connecting them with, just to help them make those dreams a reality. And then they can make those goals into like a tangible action plan, and then we follow the steps and go from there.
So it's all this education that you can provide, right? So that they don't have that knowledge gap, so that they feel more confident making the decisions. And if they want to take advantage of something like, well, how do I get trade lines of credit? How do I establish credit for my business? How can I prepare the business so that I can be bankable and get loans and use other people's money to help them grow the business? And you can walk them down that path, right?
Exactly.
But you're not limited there either. What other kinds of things can you talk about?
So, protecting intellectual properties, trademarking, things like that is very important, protecting your brand and building that up. Even with marketing, getting exposure for your business.
Yeah.
Or just, there's lots of other things out there,
like trusts, I know is one of the things that you deal in, right? It's like, at a certain point, you'll start to acquire assets, and you want to make sure that those assets get passed on to your heirs.
Correct.
And so, a business owner should have revocable living trust.
Estate planning is crucial.
Estate planning is a big piece. If I'm a real estate investor, if that's my business, maybe I should be considering land trusts as a part of my overall plan, right?
Well, that's something that's often overlooked too.
Mm-hmm.
People, they want to just set up an LLC for their rental properties, and you need to segregate those properties so they don't implicate one another.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's lots of different ways, and again, very personalized, right? You're going to find out about the individual, what they're trying to accomplish, how they're trying to accomplish it, what their timeline is, what their risk tolerance is.
Right.
All of those things come into play, and then you can be, a guide to them. So again, fantastic resource to all the customers that come in through the front door at Inc. Authority and utilize our services to help them form their business. Well, thank you for joining us today, James. Really happy to have you on the program.
Appreciate you having me.
And thank you for joining us today on this episode of The Startup Show. If you'd like to talk to James or any of our other business advisors, please call us, reach out, and they would be happy to take your call. And if you like this program, now would be a great time to hit the like button and make sure that you always have the notification bell turned on so that you don't miss any of our future content. We're wishing you much success today. Go out there, crush it, be successful. This is Trevor Rowley for Inc. Authority signing off from The Startup Show.